of mind they've been asking for. That's not losing independence, that's keeping it. Visit ccgoffer.com to see if you qualify for a free device. It takes 2 minutes. That's ccgoffer.com, ccgoffer.com. Do it today.
A plane hits a light pole in New Jersey.
Authorities say the United Airlines passenger jet was arriving from Venice, Italy, when it hit a light pole on the New Jersey Turnpike Sunday afternoon. It was about to land at Newark Liberty International Airport. The plane was carrying 221 passengers and 10 crew members. It landed safely, and the airline says no one on the plane was injured. New Jersey State Police say a landing tire and the underside of the plane also hit a truck. The driver of the truck had minor injuries. The National Transportation Safety Board is investigating. I'm Mike Hempen.
Former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani is breathing on his own after being hospitalized with pneumonia and being placed on a ventilator. The 81-year-old remains in critical but stable condition at a Florida hospital. News and analysis at townhall.com. From Washington, I'm Keith Peters.
This program is brought to you in part by Ability Tree Experts. Ability Tree Experts, Houston's leading tree care professionals. Call 281-441-4179.
From the KSEV Weather Center, this afternoon will bring intervals of clouds and sunshine with a high of 81 tonight. Expect some clouds with a low of 69. Tomorrow will be mainly cloudy with a high of 85. By Wednesday, it will be cloudy and humid with a shower in spots in the morning, followed by a thunderstorm in the afternoon and a high of 87. Thursday will be cloudy and not as warm with widely separated thunderstorms and a high of 77. Wrapping up the week on Friday, anticipate a mix of clouds and sunshine with a chance of a thunderstorm and a high of 80. With the KSCV Weather Center forecast, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Checo Pro Joe here. Join me this Saturday at 11 a.m. when Andrew from A&A Gem Pro Generators discusses whole home standby generators and the peace of mind they bring. That's this Saturday at 11, right here on AM 700 KSEV, the voice of Texas.
If you're looking to buy or sell a home and in need of the best realtors out there, look no further than the Ronnie and Kathy Matthews Group. They've instilled in each and every member of their team hard work and honest values. And believe me, it's paid off. They truly know the Houston market and what it takes to get a home sold quickly and at top dollar and how to get the best deal possible for your home purchase. They're employee-owned. They care about their clients, so they always go the extra mile to ensure each sale and purchase is seamless and smooth. The Ronnie and Kathy Matthews Group have been a top-producing real estate team for over 2 decades. Call Ronnie and Kathy Matthews Group at 281-440-7900 or see for yourself and go online at thematthewsteam.com. That's thematthewsteam.com. They sell over 1,000 homes a year, and they know every inch of the buying and selling market in Houston. Call Ronnie and Kathy Matthews Group. I chose them as my realtor. The Ronnie and Kathy Matthews Group, your realtors for life. 281-440-7900 or see for yourself online at thematthewsteam.com. That's thematthewsteam.com.
That's the Ronnie and Kathy Matthews Group, brokered by EXP.
Where should I begin?
Can we talk about this?
Say, what are you trying to say?
Beyond the usual controversial talk.
Blah, 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 on and on and on. Over there. No.
1, 2, cha-cha-cha. 1, 2, cha-cha-cha.
Prepare yourself.
Okay.
For Craig.
Okay.
Preparing a mighty new spectacle here.
Articulate. Stimulating. Hit you right in the... there you go.
We start becoming a team right now.
This is the Craig Collins Show.
Lord Jesus. Oh, God, no.
Start talking. Talk fast.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
Now your host.
He's a good man.
Craig.
That's right. It is the Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas. I have a good friend of mine that I'm going to get onto the show. His name is Marc Strauss. We call him TV Guy on the radio because he had a very long career in both television and radio in Illinois. Welcome to the show, Mark. How you doing, buddy? Oh, you got to put it. Nope. I think, yep. Now, Mark, are you there? Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
All right, perfect. Yeah, thank you. All right. So, Mark, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Good. I contemplated something and I didn't do it, and I know you're going to appreciate it because you're a baseball guy and I'm a baseball guy. Yes. I contemplated playing like a 2.5-minute thing. I think it's almost 3 minutes, actually. The Yankees put up for John Sterling, honoring John Sterling, the late, great voice of the New York Yankees. He passed away today. I didn't open the show with it, though, Mark, because I live in Houston, Texas. not in New York.
I understand that.
Okay.
I certainly understand that.
All right, but I was tempted to, and I still want to play
Yeah.
it right now, and it's sitting here in front of me, and at some point we're probably going to talk about Sterling, but since this is a political talk show and not a sports talk show, it probably has to be at the end of the show. I'm just asking for your expertise on this. I probably have to wait a little bit, right?
Well, look, it's your show. You can do whatever you want.
That is true. Oh, man, you're making it even more tempting. No, we're not going to do it. We're going to talk about other stuff first. Thrilled to have you on. A lot of things have happened since the last time we talked, which I think was like the very first day that I launched this show. And I've been meaning to get you on more often. It's just been a little crazy, everything I've been doing. But out of all the big news stories that have happened in the 2 months or so that it's been since we've talked, obviously one of the biggest ones was the assassination attempt against President Trump. There was actually also someone shot today that I think was on the mall near the White House, not actually at the White House. But this is insane. I would love for you to give me your take on what's going on, and then also how the left is managing to somehow sound horrible in the face of attempted murders, attempted assassinations of the current president of the United States.
Well, it's the ends justifies the means, right?
According to them.
That's the philosophy that they have.
Yes.
I read an item today that did you see any of the surveillance video from the White House correspondence?
Yes.
Did you see any of that? Did you see?
Yes. So the dog is probably the thing that's most concerning. There's a lot of concerning things in there.
Yeah. Did you see the security guard talk to the person behind the door?
Yes.
Did you see that?
Yes.
So
for anyone that doesn't know, real quick, Mark, for anyone that doesn't know what he's talking about, the security footage that shows just moments before the attack by the shooter that was trying to kill Trump at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, which was held at a hotel in D.C., you see him go into a side room. You see a dog very interested in him. Then you see the dog get pulled away, and then the guy bursts out of the room and tries to kill people.
Well, we know who he was trying to kill.
Right. Well, we know who target number one was, absolutely.
All of this is very interesting, for obvious reasons. But beyond that, for decades, people have been breaking down the Zapruder film like it's the winning touchdown of a Super Bowl game that went down the last 10 seconds. And here we have, in the modern age, all this technology, and we can see with our own eyes exactly what's going on. And there's no outcry from the media or the political pundits on the other side to say, hey, we know what's going on.
Yeah.
We know what you're trying to do. And they're fine with it. And so, in a lot of ways, and we've talked about this before, so many people and so many things are being exposed just by Trump's mere presence at the highest level.
Yes.
And people are now getting to see with their own eyes what you and I have talked about for a long time, which is they'll do anything that they can do to get to the goal line that they're trying to get to.
Yes. I was going to ask you that at some point. There are reports, and then there's what we both don't believe to be even remotely legitimate, a bunch of polling that says that people are losing some amount of support for Trump, although even the polls admit that it's mostly not Republicans. But I don't actually believe that it's true even with independents, and I know you probably don't feel that way either. But I wanted to ask you, in light of everything, the higher gas prices because of the war with Iran, is there a moment where you've had a thing that you second-guess that the president has done?
No, and that's because, like you, I kind of, stay in touch with things. I think I don't rely on the mainstream media for my information.
Smart.
I found something really interesting today that was posted by a guy that I follow on social media who's extremely intelligent. His name's Joe Lang.
Sure.
And he was talking about how, Trump posted, I think it was today or yesterday, he posted, I made the USA $45 billion in 8 months. And then he explains how he did that. All of these companies are like, he cites Intel and how the stock has surged 385% since the United States bought into Intel. I think they have almost a 10% stake in Intel. But the significance of that is that the profits that are being made not only by that company, but by the United States.
Yeah.
Okay? And then when you couple that, and they're not the only company, but I'm using that as an example because Trump actually posted that. So think about that. You'll have hundreds of companies that the United States is receiving revenue from, plus the tariffs. And when you lump that all together, that's money that the taxpayers don't have to be charged to run the government. And this is the golden age that Trump is talking about. And once everything is settled in the Middle East with Iran and the Strait and the flow of oil, and by the way, we are now the number one exporter of oil in the world.
Yeah.
It's not any country in the Middle East. But now you take all of those things and you lump them together. And every year, citizens of the United States will receive a dividend check, and you won't be paying income taxes. So you'll get your whole salary, okay, except for whatever your state takes out. You'll get your entire salary, plus you'll be getting a dividend check. And for those that don't know, for years and years and years, the state of Alaska, through its sale of oil and energy, has, on an annual basis, mailed out dividend checks to the citizens of the state of Alaska. And it's different amounts every year. Just like, think of it as you are a stockholder in a company, right, and the company is the United States of America.
I want a dividend check. Yeah, that sounds amazing.
And you're going to get one,
right?
And you're going to get one, and you're going to get one every year at some point moving forward. But so think of it as you're a stakeholder in a company, which you are. You're a stakeholder in the United States of America. You have been working and producing your entire adult life as an employee.
Yeah.
You're a stakeholder. And instead of them taking it from you, they are going to give you a piece of the pie, just like you own stock in the company or you're a stakeholder in the company, because you've been working in this company for your entire adult life.
Yes.
So the people who complain, they have no idea what's coming. They don't understand it, and they're thinking in a world that they have been conditioned to think in, and not the one that Trump keeps trying to tell them we're going to.
Right.
All right. Sorry, I didn't mean to go on that long.
No. You know what's really interesting about it? Joe Lang is someone I follow, too, on social media, and I also saw this post that you're talking about, and the most interesting part of it is I saw that people were complaining, not on Joe's post because he did such a good job of laying out all the pieces, but that they must have paid taxpayer money to buy this stock in Intel, and they didn't. Trump actually reused CHIP Act grants and other funding from other places, moved it around, and then got it to be a 9.9% holding without a voting position within a giant company that's now worth a bunch of money. So it's the art of the deal is what Joe kind of references there. And yeah, I would like for this country to do a bunch of stuff like this and have the forethought to promise the American people that when we do this and we succeed, we're going to give you guys a piece of it. And by the way, the last thing you said about getting rid of like income tax and whatnot, being in the state of Texas where we have no state taxes, I know would be a very popular thing if it happened on a federal level, because a whole lot of people down here think that tax is theft, because it is. And so it would be great to have more versions of we're not going to touch your money, even if it means the stuff we import other places becomes a little bit more expensive, because hopefully we're making more stuff here and circumventing those costs. But I would like to see a lot of the things you just said happen, and Trump would like to see it. And one of the biggest things in making sure that the Republicans retain control of the House and the Senate is agenda things like this getting done in the next couple of years.
Yeah, well, just going back to your original point about polling, quote unquote, So the person who gets, called or they are polled, there's nobody explaining this to them like you just explained it, or Joe Lang, or I just talked about. They're getting their information from, ABC or NBC or some mainstream news source, and they're not telling them what is being done by Trump and by Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, and the Commerce Secretary, in these deals with these companies, and the United States having a stake in this and creating this dynamic where the United States is taking in revenue that it will not in the future have to take from the people, from the taxpayers. And it's so, it's so simple. It's so simple. It's the way companies operate. And Trump is operating the country like a company. And that's not any surprise. He told everybody for years and years and years before he ran for president, and then again while he was running, and then multiple times while he's been president, the way to do this that's going to eliminate debt and create a profitable environment for the country and its citizens. Yeah. And all of these things, I am 100% confident are going to happen. I mean, think about all the conversations you and I have been having for years, going back to the early days of Trump in office in the first term.
Sure.
And, we would talk about, hey, we knew Trump wanted to do this, but you couldn't see any signs of it. And so because you couldn't see any signs of it, you thought, well, gee, that would be great, but that's never going to happen. Well, now you can see it because he's doing it. It's actually taking place, and we are going to reach the finish line, and he is going to eliminate the income tax.
It's amazing.
And he, they already have this gamed out. They wouldn't do this if Trump, you said art of the deal, which of course is, that's a little bit of a twist on the art of war, but the art of the deal and the famous book that he wrote. Yeah. And if you look at that book, he doesn't do anything without knowing the outcome first.
Right. Well, no, what's really interesting about this too, Mark? I apologize to jump in.
No, that's all right.
I feel like you're dancing around something that I did want to ask you about too. The indictment of James Comey, the second indictment for the 8647 post that he put up on social media. I was even talking to my cousin Vince Colonnese, who is a radio host that now has a show in the middle of the day right here on the station at 12 o'clock. His show airs live on KSEV. But I was talking to him about the indictment itself means something to the supporters of President Trump, to the supporters of this administration, regardless of if a jury somewhere or a judge somewhere screws up the end result. The thing where we hope someone actually gets sent to jail, that there's a sentence. I believe, whether it's Blanche now or this has always been the plan, that what we're seeing in that space is incredibly important to a lot of voters, especially as we get closer to the midterm election, because attempting to hold people accountable is enough for me. I wonder if that's enough for you, knowing maybe as I do that it might be hard for that indictment to turn into an actual sentence and a jail term for James Comey.
Well, I mean, this is really an interesting issue with Comey because Comey's attached to so many other people.
Yes.
And while it's almost like how they got Al Capone. They got him on tax evasion, but not on any of the more serious stuff. But Comey's tied to all these other people. He's tied to Hillary. He's tied to Brennan. He's tied to McCabe. He's tied to Strzok. He's tied to everybody from the Mueller investigation and the Hillary server and all this other stuff. So these grand juries, and the other thing about that, what's interesting about this is this grand jury, and I know you know this, is out of Florida. This is not a grand jury that's in
New York
D.C.
City
or Virginia. And so And what just happened? Pam Bondi left, and she went back to Florida. And I bet you $1 that she's going to be part of prosecuting this. And I think this was brilliantly done. And
Sure.
I told you before.
Yes, I know.
That Trump puts people in place for a certain amount of time to do a certain job.
Right.
And everybody thinks, oh, he fired her. No, she did what she needed to do to set up what she's going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And Blanche is now going to do what he needs to do. This is all really interesting, the way this is kind of playing out.
I agree. I do agree. I hope that it actually winds up working out to where Comey is found guilty of the things that he's been indicted for. A grand jury did think that he could be found guilty. That's why there's a court case at all. But I hope that we get that result and that we find more versions of that same result, because I have been someone, regardless of how many things I have liked. I've heard a lot of people describe Trump 2.0 and the administration 2.0 as clearly better than Trump 1.0. And that is because the things are actually happening more this time around, whether that was design or not. I'm sure we could have a discussion about it. But nonetheless, I've liked it so much. But the one thing that I do agree with some people on is that I'd like to see more people behind bars. And I think this is probably the appropriate time frame to get there, that is what's currently happening.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think it had to happen a certain way. In the first term, I think there were too many obstacles, being too many people that were, embedded in the system, in the federal government system. There were too many people standing in the way.
Yes, I agree.
And obstructing whatever it was that should have been done from not only a justice standpoint, but just from all the policies that Trump was trying to put into place. And I think what they spent the first year doing, bringing in Kash Patel, bringing in Pam Bondi, and bringing in many other people, was to bringing in Jeanine Pirro. All of these things, they cleared the dead wood out, the obstructionists out. They fired them. Remember all the outcry? Oh, they're firing all these people.
Oh yeah.
Well, they used that first term, I think, to find out who the rats were, and then that. By the way, that was one of Bongino's jobs. I'm convinced when he was brought in to be the deputy FBI director, was to find the rats in the FBI.
Yeah, no, he's talked about it.
And get rid of them. And so now the deck has been cleared. The decks have been cleared for the most part.
Yes.
99%. And now there's nothing standing in the way. So it couldn't have been done in the first term.
Sure. Yeah, there were.
And now, yeah.
I would say this, that Bongino has even said that there were too many people, even within the FBI, that seemed like they were absolutely political and a piece of crap and had to go. I know that he's been sort of indirect about some of the other things he said, because he probably can't tell us everything that he learned, obviously. But it's been very interesting to watch and listen to some of the things Bongino has said. Mark, I waited as long as I could. I'm going to play some of the Sterling stuff, and then we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back, and then we're going to talk more about politics. But I have to do this, and I know Houston is probably one of the worst places to do this, because even though I see Yankee fans, and I heard Yankee fans at the Yankee games, as I call them, that I went to here in Houston, I know that there's a tremendous amount more Astro fans. But John Sterling is one of those marquee voices, I think, in the world of sports and radio professionals. You and I were texting after this news broke that it's crazy that he didn't make it into the Hall of Fame before he passed away, because he definitely deserves to be in there. But this is something the Yankees put up on social media. Mark, you'll be able to hear this too. It's a bunch of his calls and a little bit of stuff about him, and we'll see how much of this we play. I am uniquely sad to hear that John Sterling passed away, even though I don't think it's terribly shocking. He had stepped away from the microphone for the most part about a year ago because of some health stuff and a desire to not travel so much. But here's a little bit of a mashup of some of Sterling's best calls, etc., and then we'll talk a little bit about Yankees and baseball before we take a break.
He is part of the fabric of baseball in the biggest city in this country.
For many generations, there will only be one, the voice of the New York Yankees.
The Golden Pipes, John Sterling. Stepping up to the microphone is the voice of the New York Yankees. Here is John Sterling.
Well, Susan, thank you. And once again, good afternoon, everyone.
Swung on it, hit in the air to deep right center. It is high, it is far, it is gone. Burn, baby, burn. A thriller by Godzilla. The Bambino, the Giambino, Robbie Cano, and don't you know? Oh, he's positively swishalicious. Hell, Capitan. Let the Cardi party begin. It's an A-bomb from A-Rod. The most happy fella, a Stantonian home run. Swung on, there it goes, deep left, it is high, it is far, it is gone, number 62.
All right, Mark, look, I think that baseball is a uniquely romantic sport. I do. I think that something about it is just what makes it so special, and I think voices like that for stations like that throughout the country you just remember them your entire life if you grow up listening to these guys. And John Sterling specifically was great at making up those little home run calls that included the person's name. How did you react to a lot of that audio? Any thoughts? Any immediate things?
I saw that earlier today, and you know that I am a baseball junkie,
yes.
And I got interested in broadcasting by listening to baseball on the radio. I grew up in the St. Louis area, so I was listening to Jack Buck and Harry Carey.
Sure.
But I would at night dial around and listen to all the great announcers all over the country because I lived right in the middle of the country in the St. Louis area. And then as I got older, you know, you get introduced to other broadcasters, specifically baseball on the radio is so unique and so special because baseball is actually better on the radio than television. Because,
yeah, I agree.
Because you're sitting there imagining yourself at the ballpark and this is why it's so neat. I know that you can relate to this. When you hear John Sterling's voice, you're sitting in Yankee Stadium.
Yes.
When you hear Jack Buck's voice, you were sitting in Busch Stadium. You could see it. You could feel it. It's a sound. It's a sound. That voice is, in many respects, the local radio announcer for a baseball team is more famous than almost any player on the team. The Yankees might be an exception, but they're what tie you to those great players.
Yes.
Did you know that John Sterling announced Yankee baseball for 11 more years than Mel Allen?
No.
Did you know that?
That's an incredible. He did it for 36 total years, and I think there was 5,000 plus consecutive games. I didn't know it was that much longer than Mel Allen, though. That's amazing.
Mel Allen was the Yankees announcer for 25 years.
Yes. And
you
Sterling
can make
36.
a case, and I believe it, that John Sterling is the greatest Yankees announcer.
I'm sure there's I'm sure there's people of a certain age listening to this station, if they even care at all about that are absolutely telling you no. But I agree with you, and I'll just say this before you get back to it, Mark. Milo Hamilton of the Astros is probably a voice people are thinking of. Holy Toledo, famous catchphrase of his. So pretend, Milo, thank you. Pretend for anyone listening out there that's not happy with the fact that we're talking about Sterling so long, just pretend it's Hamilton that we're talking about. Go ahead and continue.
Well, and I also think, I think was it Bob Brown who was down there for a long
Bill
time?
Brown, I think.
Bill Brown, yeah. He's legendary down there.
Yes, he is.
Lowell Pass, I think is his name.
Sure.
Who was one of the original Astros broadcasters. But the point is, any of these people who do this for a long time, but I think there are certain people who have their view of Sterling is, some of the catchphrases and things.
Yes.
But he was an outstanding announcer.
Yes, he was.
He started his first big break was in Baltimore, where he was the voice of the Baltimore Bullets, who are now the Wizards, the Washington Wizards. And he also did football. He did Morgan State football. And he's a native New Yorker. He grew up in Manhattan, but he took a kind of a circuitous route back to New York. He was doing New York Nets basketball. He was doing New York Islanders hockey. And then he went off to Atlanta, and that's where he first became kind of known nationally, when he was part of that, when cable exploded. He was part of that Atlanta Braves broadcasting team with Skip Carey and Pete Van Wieren and Ernie Johnson.
Yeah.
And he was one of their broadcasters, so everybody knew who he was. And he was good back then. If you want to hear a great call by John Sterling, there was a game on the 4th of July in Atlanta that went till 4 o'clock in the morning because deep into extra innings, with the Braves trailing, one of their pitchers, who had to stay in the game because there wasn't anybody else to pitch, hit a home run to retie the game. And he's on that call, and he actually says, before the home run, it would be ridiculous. The pitcher's name was Rick Camp. It would be ridiculous if Rick Camp hit a home run and extended this game. And then he did it.
This is absolutely the reason. I thought the Braves did the right thing. They let Runge take a shot at winning it, and he hit the ball well. But now 2 outs and 0 on. The Mets are waving their outfielders in. The whole Met team waving their outfielders in. Here's Rick Camp with a game on the line. 2 outs and 0 on base.
Should I keep going, or should I know that it's the entire call. Do you want to hear the whole thing?
No, go ahead.
At least he took a good cut and fouled it off. Ernie, if he hits a home run to tie this game, this game will be certified as absolutely the nuttiest in the history of baseball.
It would be. It would be, John.
Well, they could go to another pitcher, but in 18 innings, they've used just about everybody.
No, the only 3 guys left are Bedrosian, Perez, and Zane Smith. There's a strike 0-2.
So they've researched that, and they figure that Camp is the best hitter of the 3 left.
It'll be an 0-2 pitch. And he is at the deep left. Heat goes back. It is gone. Holy cow. Oh, my goodness. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Rick Camp.
Yeah.
Rick Camp. I don't believe it.
I know it's the Yankees, or it's Mets in this case, but I know that people probably don't care that much. But that was one of the many calls that I pulled up, Mark, so it was interesting that you started to mention it, because it's awesome.
Yeah, it's part of his legacy.
Yes.
And also, I've never met John Sterling, but from all accounts and from everything that I've read and heard people talk about today, he was a wonderful human being.
Yeah.
And also, he was 87 years old when he passed away. But I read a really interesting article about him probably about 5 or 6 years ago. Every morning, he would go down to the health club in his building, and he would swim for an hour. And then, because he would keep himself in great shape, you don't live to be 87 and be able to work until you're almost 87.
It's true.
He retired year before last. And I think he did a couple of games last year, maybe.
He did.
But yeah, I think they needed somebody for a couple of games, and he did a couple of games as a fill-in. And then he would have breakfast, and he would read the newspaper. And when I say that, he emphasized a physical newspaper. He didn't get on a computer and read the newspaper. He would get copies of the New York newspapers, and he would read the papers every morning. And he is, how do I say this? He's one of those people that's the last of his kind.
Yes.
He's from an era that
doesn't exist anymore.
I wish still existed, and,
Yeah.
it doesn't really exist. I think sadly we've moved too far into the future, and I don't say that, you know me, so you understand what I'm saying. There are certain things about people from his generation that when they're gone,
right,
we miss that.
Yeah, there's certain beliefs, certain value systems, behaviors, all kinds of things. We do have to take a break, Mark. For anyone that didn't like how long we talked about John Sterling, I can't help it, man. I can't help it. I'm a huge Yankee fan, and Mark is a huge fan of baseball in general. So I'm not surprised that you had some great comments about John Sterling. This is for the producer Phil in the other room. You're going to play the commercial break, and then after the break, we'll come right back, and I'll just talk. We don't play any music. It is the Voice of Texas, KSEV, KGBC, The Craig Collins Show.
For many years, the Pine Box has been helping families gain insight into the often confusing and extremely expensive task of arranging a loved one's funeral. I have worked with Pine Box in the death of 2 family members because I know I can trust Chip Beresford at the Pine Box, he's the owner, to be sure that he walks me through that process and that I am prepared for the funeral and that I get the quality I seek without breaking the budget. Because it's a very difficult thing. No one wants to feel like a cheapskate handling a funeral of a loved one, but you also can't afford to go broke either. You know, funerals are statistically the 3rd largest expense in someone's life. The Pine Box sells the same caskets and funeral merchandise that is offered at funeral homes, but at a tremendous savings, and delivery is immediate and free within the Houston area. Visit their website, thepinebox.com, or call Chip directly at 1-888-PINE-BOX. That's 1-888-PINE-BOX. I trusted them, and you can. The Pine Box.
Start your mornings with the Chris Salcedo Show.
Let's go to New York, where David is standing by. Hello, David. Welcome to Salcedo Show. What do you say?
I'm going to say Donald Trump was a backstabber, and you never call him out.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand what you said. Give me an example of a lie.
I don't know. It doesn't matter what.
David is just like the folks over there at CNN and at MSNBS. Blind hatred.
And one other thing with that jerk from New York, David. That's why I left New York. This guy's a real Mama Luke.
Oh.
Right?
7 to 9 a.m.
I started my first business at 12, mowing lawns for about $5 a yard. I learned if you do the job right, people trust you, and that made me work harder. Hi, I'm Tommy Mello.
That's good.
Repairs to upgrades, call Garage Door Doctor.
After a hard rain, you can see them. The water stains on the ceiling or the dripping water from a recessed light. Now you start to get nervous because you know leaks can cause big problems.
Once the water enters the structure, the trouble starts. Water weakens rafters and beams over time. It soaks through.
Do you want to keep it going till your show close?
Forget about mold. It grows fast in our humidity and causes all kinds of health problems.
I'd really hate to see you spend thousands on expensive structural or...
Okay, got you. So this one is 27 seconds. You got 1 minute. You got another minute commercial coming up.
And then after that, we have 3 minutes left for the second break. Did we have 6 total minutes in there or no?
No.
Okay.
Call us when you first see that leak. 281-251-0304. See our work online.
Okay.
Roofingandcontracting.com. Tejas Roofing, 281-251-0304.
Hi, y'all. It's Kathy from Baker Mortgage. You know, with all the scary stuff we've been through, it's still true that timing is everything, and the time to buy is now. But don't go looking without a solid pre-approval in hand. And this includes an application and a detailed discussion about property taxes. If you didn't...
All right, so after this one, you're going back on? All right, cool.
You really don't know what you're pre-approved for. That should make you wonder what else they may have left out. Mortgages are personal. Let's face it.
Got you.
Home and your money. And it doesn't get much more personal than that. When it's the largest transaction that most people will ever be involved in, imagine having someone on your side looking out after you. What a concept. We audit your closing statement to make sure you're not paying for things that you're not supposed to. Do you think your big bank's going to do that? Probably not. For all of your mortgage needs, call us at
10 seconds to tell you live.
You'll be glad you did. We're at 281-313-MOVE or go directly to bakermortgage.com.
Equal housing lender. License number 263213.
2 in 1 day. It was wonderful. I go out and make a speech. Then I say, all right, let's go home. Sir, you're making another speech. And this one's in front of the richest people in the world. I went from an unbelievable group of seniors. Now, of course, I'm not a senior. I'm far younger than a senior. It's true. I feel the same as I felt 50 years ago. I don't know. There'll be a period of time when I don't tell you that. There'll be, because I'm honest, I'll say, it's not looking good. I have to be careful. If I said, as an example, I'm not feeling well, they put on, Donald Trump is not feeling well, because
They will.
They won't know that I'm using that as just a reference point, and they'll say, listen to this. I'll say, I'm not feeling well. Well, someday I might say that to you, and you'll be the first to know. Actually, I won't have to say it, because you'll be able to see it, just like you did in the last administration.
This is the Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas. I have a buddy of mine, a guest on, Marc Strauss, TV guy on the radio, a long time television and radio broadcaster, still doing radio stuff, play-by-play and whatnot, out of Illinois. How do you feel about President Trump making jokes, Mark, about how if he even remotely mentioned that he wasn't feeling well, fake news media would run with that?
Oh, of course they would. I mean, they're always looking for stories. It wasn't that long ago they were, getting photos of his hand. There was a bruise on his hand.
Yeah.
And they were trying to make it out like he was on his deathbed. Look, I'll say this. I watch the guy. I see what he does from, he gets up earlier than me, and I think he goes to bed later than I do. And I don't think either of us, and not very many people in your audience, could keep his schedule.
No.
Okay? The guy's going all the time, and he's always done that. He did that when he was in business, and this is why he succeeds, because he outworks everybody.
Yeah,
he's the guy that you read about who outworks everybody and doesn't take failure as an answer.
You know what's so funny about that? You hear that a lot from the conservative side of the aisle or the MAGA side or whatever they want to call it in liberal media. And liberal media does not admit that President Trump does work that hard. So there are people that think that that's some sort of fake thing. This is funny. I think it was just a couple days ago on a podcast, Caitlin Collins, who is famous as a CNN human being, like far from any version of anything anyone would consider a conservative or a right-winger. She said she hated to go on trips on Air Force One or any sort of commute that involved President Trump because the man wouldn't sleep. And he was known, this is Caitlin Collins, not me telling you this, not Marc Strauss telling you this. He was known to wake up his staff, anybody that he could get on the phone at all hours of the night to do stuff. And he'd even walk up to the press and give them press interviews throughout the entire journey from wherever they were to wherever they were going. They complained about it, that no one in the press could sleep if they were in the same place as President Trump for a 24-hour period. It was hilarious to watch Caitlin Collins admit that. Granted, I think it was still a criticism somehow, but admit that that's true, that all the talk of Trump and how much of a doesn't sleep kind of human that works all the time he is, left-leaning media has also admitted it.
Yeah, they dislike him because, in addition to the fact that they don't philosophically agree with him, which they're supposed to be the media, they're just supposed to be, a blank slate covering the news. Yes. But in addition to all of that, they hate being correspondents covering Trump because they have to work 24 hours a day, and they can't physically do that.
Right.
They can't go out and have their drinks and socialize, and they have to get some sleep. Now, if you go back and look at old interviews with Trump, even while he was on Letterman, he used to be a regular guest on Letterman like once or twice a year.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a couple of times where Letterman says, "You're working all the time." I mean, the people that work with you, they can't believe. And he says, "I'm very lucky, David, because I need very little sleep. I only need about 4 hours a night."
Yeah.
And I've known people like that. I have a past a relative who's passed many years ago who was like that, and they could go on like 4 hours of sleep. And
yeah, that's crazy. I know very few people here. We're getting a little bit of a weird sound on your phone, so I'm going to put you back on hold and get you back on the air in just a second, Mark. Hang in there. Or if you even want to call back, I know that Phil could answer the phone. If you have the phone number that we called you on, and you can call us back because you're your phone wasn't going out. It was just distorting a little tiny bit. But I do want to play one piece of audio, and then I'll try to bring you back on the air. This is off the beaten path from what a lot of people are talking about. This is Dr. Oz. He was on Fox News, and he's having a conversation about all the corruption that exists in medical suppliers, medical care providers, all kinds of things. Now, granted, obviously the fraud that existed in Minneapolis and Minnesota is all over the news, but I thought this dove a little deeper. I wanted to play this audio, and then we'll talk about it. This is Dr. Oz saying how many avenues he's discovered of embezzlement, fraud, and terrible things that are going on in the country.
Personal care services, the number one job in New York where you are now, the number one job in the entire state is someone carrying groceries upstairs for their mother or doing other things you would do for your family. It's a jobs program. And I'll give you one other concrete idea. Durable medical equipment suppliers. We have a national moratorium that we have stopped allowing new people to enter this business. I was in Florida yesterday. There are twice as many durable medical equipment suppliers selling wheelchairs and hospital beds than McDonald's in South Florida.
Yikes.
We have foreign government involvement. We have foreign organized criminal enterprises involved. And we have not just those 5 states. We're now, of course, well aware of personal care service problems in Ohio. We have autism problems in not just Minnesota, but in Indiana. But here's the question you should be asking yourself. Are you ready? Why? Is this a flaw for the Democratic Party, or is this a feature of some of these blue states? And I would argue, running the agency that's in charge of program integrity, they gutted the system. We have 6 people left working
deliberately. It's current.
Yeah, I'll stop it right there. Deliberately, I agree with you. Mark, I think you called back in, and I threw you on hold. I don't know if we talked to you off air, but Mark, are you back?
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
right
cool.
here.
Perfect. And you called back in? You disconnected and called back? Is that what happened?
Yes, I did.
Thank you very much
I
for doing
did.
that. Your phone is perfect now. I don't know if you heard everything that Dr. Oz said, but Dr. Oz was going through the ridiculous amount of corruption in New York, in a bunch of blue states, and even in some places like Indiana, which is a red state, where they're finding all these avenues to misuse medical care supplies, all kinds of things, to embezzle and steal money. This is obviously a huge deal, and one that people kind of stopped talking about beyond what was going on in Minneapolis and Minnesota. But what are some of your quick thoughts on this topic?
Well, this reminds me of what we saw in Minnesota, and it was very instructive for us to see all the Nick Shirley videos. And then all of a sudden, after Nick Shirley, all these other people started popping up in their own respective states, doing the same thing and showing that this wasn't isolated. Yeah. And then Dr. Oz popped up out in California, and he started going around and started to create these videos and showing the same thing. So now people know that their tax dollars are being misused in, dare I say, a criminal way. And that this money is not going towards, the intended people that it's for. And it's somehow it's going through this weird and intricate maze, and it's winding up in the pockets of politicians. It's winding up in the pockets of people who are here illegally.
Wow.
Meanwhile, the hardworking American is having their pocket picked, and they're going to work, and somebody else is getting the fruits of their labor. It has to stop. It has to stop.
Yeah. No, amen. All right, we got to take one more break. I know we have one more break we got to play before we get out of here, so we'll take a quick break. We'll come back in just a bit, and we'll finish up with Marc Strauss, TV guy on the radio, as he's known throughout Illinois, a friend of mine. Thrilled to have him on the show and talk about all things politics and a little bit of baseball. KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas. More coming up in a bit.
Hi, this is Louis Flory. You've been relying on Ability Tree experts for decades to protect and maintain the valuable trees on your property. You can continue to rely on the same professional services. So call Ability Tree experts at 281-441-4179 today.
Jim Clark, a.k.a. Check-A-Pro Joe here. Houston's best contractors. Houston's smartest homeowners. It all starts with the Check-A-Pro radio show. Now hear my show every Saturday at 7 a.m. right here on AM 700 KSEV, the voice of Texas.
This deer season, John Deere wants to give you the home field advantage. We're bringing you the best offers of the season, whether that's cash off on select new machines or a shot at the ultimate Major League Baseball prize package. Because right now, you can enter for a chance to win an MLB All-Star experience for you and 3 friends, complete with travel and lodging for All-Star Week this July. Deer season is going on now through June 3rd. Visit johndeere.com/deer season to enter and view the offers and complete contest rules. Major League Baseball trademarks used with permission.
When it comes to garage doors, no one knows more than the doctor. Garage Door Doctor.
We got a call late New Year's Eve. A father with big plans for his family the next day said his garage door spring just snapped. He couldn't get his car out and wouldn't be able to get his family to where they needed to go. He felt stuck and alone. So we showed up fast with the right spring and the right parts to fix it right. We didn't talk about the price. We didn't wait till the morning. We fixed it right then. Because at Garage Door Doctor, it's never just about the job. It's about the person behind it. The dad, the veteran, the grandpa, the neighbor. Hi, I'm Tommy Mello, owner of Garage Door Doctor. When you need help, we're the ones that show up. Call Garage Door Doctor today or schedule online at garagedoordoctor.biz. We fix garage doors fast with quality parts designed to last a lifetime because we're proud to serve the people who rely on us.
When it comes to garage doors, no one knows more than the doctor. Garage Door Doctor.
If you have roof problems, you can sure see them when it rains. This is Deb Tejada from Tejas Roofing. If you see a leak, call me immediately. 281-25. Roofs for 15 years.
It's not a pretty truck, but it has everything we need to get the job done. I kind of like the way it looks.
Most roofing repairs cost less than $500. Why? Because we find the cause of the leak and repair that leak. We won't try to sell you services you don't need.
And we'll fix it right away because everything we need is in our truck.
Don't put off fixing
When I hit this 19-second commercial, you want me to go manual?
over the truck. 281-251-0304. When you think of roofing repairs,
Correct.
think Tejas Roofing, your Houston roofing company. 251-251-0304.
Check Pro Joe here. My guest this week will be Cody Johnson from Garage Door Doctor. For all of your garage door needs, contact Garage Door.
It has your show clothes. Do you want me to play that or you just...
Here on AM 700 KSEV.
You good?
I've been leading in every poll since I got in this thing. And it's because the Republican Party has a MAGA base that only shows up when President Trump or a Trump candidate is on the ticket. They know that's me. They know I was all across the country campaigning for President Trump, knocking on doors. And the other faction is the Atlanta suburban crowd.
All right, that's Mike Collins. He's talking about his race in Georgia. This is the Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas. I wanted to bring Marc Strauss back on, my guest, TV guy in the radio, as he's known in Illinois, and ask you your thoughts about that. Mike Collins says that the MAGA base of the Conservative Party only really shows up en masse to vote when they think that the person is what I would call an America First candidate. Our morning show host, Chris Salcedo, talks about this quite a lot. He talks about the difference between someone with an R in front of their name, like Cornyn, and someone who actually is doing the things that conservative or MAGA voters, as they're called by some, actually want to see done, more of the Ken Paxton type of politician. Do you think that that's true, and do you think that it's obviously going to be an important component to the midterm elections, is having candidates that will do the things we want, the America First things, more so than the themself first things?
Well, first on your point about labeling, the voters and labeling the politicians, there is a distinct difference between, as you call it, America First, as Trump calls it, America First. I call it American First. That is you, the American constituent.
Yes.
Okay. It's not really being a Republican. I don't believe Trump is a Republican. I think, and again, if you go back and if you followed him through the years or know anything about him or watch the old interviews, he's about doing what's best for America and an American. And he's always been like that. He's always thought some of the things that the people in Washington do were absolutely ludicrous as a businessman because they worked against him being able to grow his company, against him being able to hire more people, do more projects. You know, we've heard all these stories about the things that, you know, he just, for example, the Biden administration spent hundreds of millions of dollars trying to clean up and restore the reflecting pool for the Washington Monument in D.C. And they never did it properly. And Trump did it,
Of course they did.
like in a month for like $2 million.
Right. Well,
okay?
the point
It's
was
like-
probably
it's
not
like this-
to actually do the work, as you know and I know, for the first team.
They're laundering the money. They come
Right.
up with projects. We joke about this all the time in Illinois
Yes.
about how they're constantly doing road projects in Illinois on the same roads over and over again.
They are. That's true.
Even though some of those roads don't need any work and they ignore the roads that need the work, well, it's obvious what's going on. They have to have projects in order to siphon off the money.
Yes.
And that's what goes on. You know, the famous story about Trump with the ice rink in Central Park in New York, where they spent like 15 or 20 or 30 million dollars, whatever it was, and it took 7 years and they never completed it. And Trump stepped in and said, "I'll do it."
Yeah.
As a private businessman, and he did it in 7 months for like a fraction of the cost.
It is one of the bigger things that made him such a big personality in just New York City as a builder, as a media darling. People loved him in media at that time in his life across the aisle. It didn't matter. We have about a minute left, so two quick things. One for my producer, he's got to switch it to auto mode. That's not going to mean a lot to anyone listening, but to him it'll mean something. So we'll be out at 59:50 to Marc Strauss. You got about 40 seconds left. Anything else you want to say before we're done?
I just want to say one more thing about John Sterling. I'm going to miss his voice on the radio.
Amazing.
I'm not a Yankee fan. I'm a Cardinal fan.
Yes, you are.
I grew up listening to Cardinals, Jack Buck, Harry Carey, Mike Shannon, John Rooney. I grew up listening to the Cardinals. But the local baseball announcer, those of you who listen to the Astros, or maybe you're a Rangers fan, or maybe you're a transplant from some other city, you know what I'm talking about. Those people, listening to those people, you have a relationship with them that is different than any other broadcaster there is.
Amen. Thank you so much to everybody. Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas. If it's in auto mode, we should be hearing the ID. All right, there it is. All right, see you later.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Europe is responding to President Trump's decision to pull out thousands of U.S. troops from Germany following a spat with its chancellor.
European leaders say President Donald Trump's decision to pull thousands of U.S. troops out of Germany came as a surprise, but is further proof that they must take care of their own security. Speaking